Welcome back to Dan Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Row 19, released in the year 2021. The movie opens on a flight en route to Novosibirsk, Russia. Among the passengers is a 7-year-old girl named Katya and her mother. Shortly following the landing announcement, the plane begins to lose control, which scares Katya, who can't find her mother. Instead, she spots a mysterious old lady behind her, chanting some strange words. Katya then passes out from fear right before the plane crashes into the ground. Katya miraculously survives the crash, being able to get up and walk away from the site. 20 years later, Katya now has a daughter of her own named Diana and is interviewed by reporters about her experience as a plane crash survivor. Reluctant to reveal any details, she tells the reporter she does not want to think about that day as she has managed to cope with her trauma and wants to focus on her life now, working as a psychiatrist. Diana then intervenes and distracts the reporter, telling him they are going to meet Grandpa soon as her mother is no longer afraid of flying. The next night, Katya and Diana board a mostly empty plane, as many passengers have changed their plans due to bad weather. The only other passengers include an arrogant businessman named Nikolai, a man named Alexei, an old couple, Evgeny and Galina, a socially awkward artist, Pavel, and 2 cabin crew members. As soon as the takeoff announcement is made, Galina becomes scared and asks the attendants to let her get off the plane. Seeing this, Katya tries to distract her and gives her some pills to help her calm down. Meanwhile, Nikolai asks Pavel about his drawings, but when he says it is something that helps him see things, Nikolai assumes he is an addict and he is not making any sense. When the plane's engines engage, Katya suddenly becomes uncomfortable, locking herself in the bathroom to take the pills while the attendants go over the safety instructions. Katya suddenly has a vision of herself in her childhood home, but the attendant snaps her out of it when asking her to return to her seat. When Alexei asks her about the reason behind her condition, Diana tells him about the plane crash incident and that her mom was the lone survivor. As everyone settles in, Alexei talks about his job and tells Katya he is a former war correspondent who has served in almost every combat zone in the world. After a while, everyone begins to fall asleep. Katya has a dream where she asks her mother if the scar on her leg will heal soon, but her mom tells her that it might stay with her for the rest of her life. Katya then sees her mom burnt and wounded and asks her if she died in the plane crash, but her mother tells her it's just a nightmare and nothing happened to them. Katya does not believe her when suddenly her mother becomes possessed. Katya wakes up from her dream as the plane begins shaking from turbulence. As the passengers try to calm their nerves, Evgeny suddenly has a stroke. Being a doctor, Katya rushes over and starts examining him. As she tries to give him CPR, he gets up and grabs her before falling to the ground dead, while Katya notices a strange shadow lurking behind the seats. Katya rushes back to a frightened Diana and assures her that she won't leave her again. Trying to settle things down, the attendant, Inessa, asks everyone to return to their seats. This offends Nikolai because he thinks they are not paying enough attention to the old man's death. Although annoyed by his attitude, Inessa tells him they must obey the rules to ensure everyone's safety. Galina, however, cannot stop crying for her dead husband, so the passengers decide to carry him to the back seat and cover his body with a blanket, while Katya distracts Diana by asking her to draw a picture. Katya then tells Alexei about the strange woman she saw, holding her responsible for the old man's death, adding that the lady wants to kill her too because she was the only one to survive the crash all those years ago. Alexei is confused by her claims and says that the man's death was completely natural, insisting that there was no old lady on the plane and that Katya is just hallucinating because of her pills. Calming herself once again, Katya then goes to Galina and asks her to sit with them, but Galina politely declines, saying she wants to be with her husband. When Katya comes back to Diana, she sees her drawing of a plane where they are sitting in the back seat, and Diana asks to change their seats. Resuming their conversation, Alexei tells Katya that he also survived a serious blast by terrorists during one of his assignments and has been using the same pills as Katya. Katya once again claims she heard her mother's voice before takeoff and thinks she was trying to warn her about something. Nikolai then tries to talk with Pavel again, telling him that he has been traveling for over a week and just wants to go home to his family. He also shows him pictures of his kids, but Pavel keeps drawing something which is revealed to be a sketch of Nikolai. Katya is still convinced that something's wrong and mentions that her leg scar has disappeared despite seeing it that morning. She also talks about how strange it is that a passenger died but they did not hear anything from the captain. But Alexei thinks he is already dealing with a snowstorm and can't risk dividing his attention. Alexei's hand then starts trembling and he tells Katya that he is also getting sick of this weird flight. Turning to Diana, Katya sees her talking to someone. Diana reveals it's a girl telling her that Katya will leave her again, but she assures her it won't happen. Inessa then makes another announcement that due to the snowstorm, they will be forced to change their course and will be landing in Novosibirsk, the same place Katya's doomed plane was headed 20 years earlier. Katya grows suspicious of the attendants' cold behavior and mentions there was something wrong with them as they are not being helpful at all. After a while, a strange liquid starts dripping on Nikolai's shoes, which adds to his frustration, and he tries to go for a smoke. Diana then tells Katya that the girl just told her that she will leave her as soon as the man is set ablaze. This makes Katya think of Nikolai, who is lighting his cigarette. She tries to stop him, but before she can, the flames react to the liquid on him. They rush to help him, but he is completely burnt and nearly dead. While the attendants try to give him first aid, Katya rushes back to Diana, but has another vision about her life with Diana as they plan their trip. The vision then takes a horrific turn as Katya finds Diana locked inside her room, and even though she keeps knocking on the door, she cannot hear anything. Galina snaps her out of it, and Diana tells her she just walked past her and did not even recognize her. Katya hugs her tightly and asks her to forgive her negligence. Alexei then interrupts their conversation, asking Katya to help Nikolai. Katya rushes back to him, and Inessa tells her his airways are blocked and he is unable to breathe. After stabilizing him, Katya treats her hand, which was also burnt in the fire, and shares with Alexei that her visions are becoming clearer and she has begun to confuse them with reality. Seeing Pavel still drawing despite all the chaos around him, Katya loses her cool and yells at him for being so self-centered. But Alexei stops her by reminding her that Diana is watching her in fear. Suddenly, Nikolai starts mumbling something and tries to reach his phone. Pavel quickly pulls it out and shows him his family picture before he succumbs to his injuries. As everyone is distressed by the strange deaths on board, Katya apologizes to Pavel for her rude behavior. Pavel mentions that he does not want to hurt anyone, but often gets lost while drawing. While walking back to Diana, as Katya unintentionally touches her necklace, Pavel asks her about it. She then reveals it was a gift from her mom, which she thinks brings her luck. Pavel then advises her to hold it even tighter. At this point, Katya realizes that Galina has been in the bathroom for a while. After informing the attendants, she starts knocking on the door and calling her name, but there is no response. Katya insists they unlock the door, but Inessa starts arguing with her while forcing her to go back to her seat. Katya does not listen to her and continues her efforts. The attendants eventually give in and unlock the door, but there are no signs of Galina. Katya has another panic attack, thinking the shadow is trying to suffocate her after pinning her to the seats. After assuring herself it's just her thoughts, she thinks about leaving the plane and asks Diana to go with her, but before they can proceed, Alexei's behavior suddenly changes drastically and he tries to stop them. Katya becomes afraid, realizing he is siding with Inessa and starts accusing them of killing the other passengers. Alexei suddenly bleeds to death while the attendant's eyes turn completely white and drop dead as well. Katya spots Pavel drawing the exact pictures from her visions and asks him about the exit as he turns to ash. Katya and Diana cross the door to the other cabin, but find themselves stuck in a loop, finally ending up at a cabin completely different from the previous one. The movie suddenly takes a new narrative as it is revealed that none of this was real and Katya is still on the doomed plane. The old lady, who Katya always thought had caused the crash, tells her that she put her to sleep because she did not want her to face the misery of her death, and all the visions she had been seeing are from the future she would have if she survives. The lady tells Katya that she is releasing her from her sleep spell, and now her destiny is in her own hands. We then see the passengers of the plane are the same people Katya has been interacting with in the future. As the plane begins to fall, Katya rushes to the back and manages to get to her mother. Alexei and all the other passengers die one by one as the plane hits the ground. The only part of the plane to stay in one piece is row 19, where Katya had led her mother, and they both survived the crash. That was all from the video. Subscribe for more content like this and leave a like to help the channel out. Also, leave a comment if you would like us to recap your favorite movie. Take care.